Thank you for joining us on Salt and Pepper Unleashed. This ain't your grandma's nursing home. Today, we're very excited to shine a spotlight on Amy Watson, the Talent Acquisition and Development Director at Greenwood Village South and one of the first faces, or rather voices, future employees encounter. Amy plays a vital role in ensuring that the staff who join GVS aren't just qualified, but aligned with our values, our mission, and the deep hospitality that defines who we are. In this episode, Amy will pull back the curtain on what she looks for in applicants, how the GVS hospitality promises shape our hiring process, and the many career paths and educational opportunities available for those who want to grow with us. Whether you're curious about a career at GVS, want to understand what sets our team apart, or simply love a good behind-the-scenes look, Amy brings insight, heart, and a whole lot of passion for building a workforce that feels like a family. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. So glad to have you here. Glad you could step away from all those phone screenings and all your responsibilities. But let's start off because it's not always been this way. Your career has taken a very unique path. So kind of share with our viewers and our listeners kind of your story and kind of how it led to your current role at Greenwood Village South.
Yeah, sure. Well, yesterday was my 12-year anniversary as a GVS employee.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. But I've actually been a part of GVS closer to 20 years. So I was a consultant before I came here full-time as actually the dietitian. Mm-hmm. I had a contract with GVS for, I probably should look up the date to be able to tell you exactly, but I say it's about 7 years before they asked me to come on full-time. So as a consultant, I was in here once a week, twice a month, sort of thing. And like I said, they asked me to come on full-time to be a full-time staff dietitian. And I gave up my business where I was consulting, going to communities all over the state of Indiana to put all my eggs in the GVS basket and come here full-time. So did that full-time then for about 10 years. And then we came to COVID. Mm-hmm. And of course, that changed everything for all of us. And we were doing things that were not in our norm. We were, no one from outside could come in. And so we found ourselves doing things outside of the scope of our normal job. And as horrible as that time was, I think if there's good that came out of it, was just being able to work strongly as a team to make things happen. And there was something uniting about that. And I think it bonded us in a different way. When we kind of went back to our new normal, I realized I love it here, but I think I'm bored with what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be burned out. I didn't want to leave here. But when you go to school and you're this dietitian, what else do you do? And I also may have been having a midlife crisis. So to throw that into the mix.
At 26?
That's right. Yeah.
At 26, a midlife crisis?
Exactly. I know.
Good for you.
Yeah. But then I had the conversation with the HR director. I had a conversation with you. I had a conversation with Pam, our healthcare administrator, and just kind of shared where I was feeling. I didn't know what things looked like. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what options there were. And neither did anyone I talked to. But what every single one of you did say is, I know there is an option. And we don't know what it looks like yet, but let's try things. And so we kept the lines of communication open. We didn't know where things were going to pan out. I knew I had an interest in continuing my education. I took advantage of the tuition reimbursement that GVS offers and got my master's degree at University of Indianapolis. It's a long title, but basically organizational development. And about 6 months after that is when this position opened, and I kind of say that I went from knowing pretty much everything. I felt like I was an expert in the field of what I was doing to now I'm Bambi on ice, learning to walk all over again. So probably a pretty unique journey from dietitian consultant, business owner, dietitian employee. Also, I'm learning all new things in the HR world. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a journey. And man, I've got so many just thoughts and follow up questions. First of all, wild curiosity. University of Indianapolis. What is their mascot?
The hounds,
The
greyhounds.
Hounds. The Greyhounds. Okay, Greyhounds.
You can teach an old dog new tricks,
But
by the way.
you, at your core, if you had to call yourself one thing, what would it be?
At my core, I'll have to. I know where you're going with this. There's going to be a Boilermaker at the core.
There we go. There we go. At your core, you're a Boilermaker.
At my core, I'm a Boilermaker.
Okay, very good.
I hope my mom's not watching this, and my whole family that all went to IU.
We'll make sure that we send it to them with a absolute high priority on that email. So first off, I want to start. You kind of mentioned this dietitian. I mean, that's a box. I mean, when you go to school to be a dietitian, you're going to school to be a dietitian for the rest of your life. So it's not a practice, a realm of practice. It's a position. I mean, that is the role. And so, obviously there's something to say with that. I've got my plan. I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And so I can only imagine what that's like to be, so far into your career and then say, "Whew, I don't know if this is what I want to do forever." But something I find even more interesting than that is, and I want to kind of set this up. When you were running your own business, how many communities or facilities did you contract with? The most at any one time?
The most at any one time. For me, I also had a dietitian who was working for me.
Your company as a whole.
Okay. I think we had 14
Okay.
at one time. Now, all in all, over the course of the year,
Yeah, over the course of the whole.
I would say 50.
50. Okay. How many of them had, before you as a consultant, with you as a consultant, or after you as a consultant, had a full-time dietitian ever?
None that I can think of.
So really what I'm getting at is it's not common.
No.
I think a lot of organizations kind of look at that role in kind of a nursing capacity as compliance, regulatory. Like we have to have kind of these boxes checked. And so I think it's really where I'm going with this is that it's a testament to both you and GVS's organization. It's a testament to you because Pam Seegers, our administrator, saw the value that you brought way beyond the simple compliance. And she said, I want this person on this team. I need this person on this team in a greater capacity. So I think that's a testament to you and who you are. But I think it's also a testament to Greenwood Village South saying, we want more than just compliance. We want to deliver value to our residents in everything that we do. And we're not doing things just to go through the steps and do them and check the boxes. We're doing them because it's the right thing to do, and we're doing what's best for our team and our residents, et cetera. So I just kind of want to start off with that because, I mean, your journey is so rare that I think it's kind of necessary to point that out.
If I might just interject on that, just to kind of piggyback, is yes, and with the dietitian role too, because it was something new being full-time, I had also the freedom to make it what I wanted, and I was able to venture out and do new things and do things in independent living, or doing talks in the independent living, or doing National Nutrition Month type things. So you had that freedom to explore and grow and not just follow the little dots on your job description. So I love that. And that translates to pretty much every job we have around here. It seems like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And now, and I'm going to jump 15 steps and go to, you went from being literally the expert in everything that you do to Bambi on ice, right? That's a big transition. Right. So I got my master's. I went to school to be a dietitian, like this very narrow lane. And I've been a dietitian for this many years. And now I'm something completely different. And everything that I've spent my entire adult life learning, knowing, doing, et cetera. It doesn't matter. It's not applicable. But in that transition, you also had a lot of that double-edged sword of it's a new role, it's a redeveloped role. We don't know exactly what it looks like. You don't know exactly what it looks like. That's a blessing because you've got a lot of autonomy and freedom and latitude to create what you want. It's a curse because what am I supposed to be doing and
Right.
how do I measure success? And so, kudos to you. I mean, you want to talk about leaning into your own discomfort and just kind of uncertainty. A lot of people, they want that structure. They want the clear expectations. And they're not really willing to push themselves, push the boundaries of what has always been and that kind of thing. So,
But here's the thing. I had a safe environment to do it. If I had gone to a whole other new organization where I was having to reestablish trust and who I am, but I was in a safe environment where I knew I was supported in something brand new. I mean, my director, Greg, he could have said, I don't want to bring on this newbie that knows nothing about, but at the same time, I know what I do bring to the table that is unique is I have a real knowledge of how so much works on campus. I have an intimate knowledge of how our healthcare building works, nursing, dietary, EVS. I've been in there. I've been in the laundry room. I've been in the kitchen, in the dish room. I sat next to the scheduler for nursing. I mean, I know that where someone else coming in would not have that to bring to the table and share a perspective whenever there's discussions happening, maybe in HR about someone or a department in another building. I'm able to bring that perspective that lets people think, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So I feel like that, it's a safe environment where I was able to make that transition where it's still scary. I'm finding someone else to replace me in the dietitian job, but it's still, I was in a safe environment overall. So it's
and with that though, again, kind of reciprocating that thought, safe for you because you knew that you had such a supportive team around you, but also safe for the organization because we knew that we were getting Amy Watson, and the Mary Poppins of senior living. I had to drop a Mary Poppins line in there, but I mean just the ability for you to connect with people in every aspect of what you do, that is an intangible quality that not a lot of people have, and that is critical in this new role, at the time, new role. And so we kind of knew that no matter what, just being who you were going to make it work. We didn't know what the path looked like from A to Z, but we knew once we got to Z, it was going to be pretty good. So I guess what I just want to reiterate is just kudos to you to leaning into the discomfort and uncertainty and desire to grow and develop and look at you now. So now I will say, I would imagine you have a very different perspective of a lot of different things. I think a lot of people are shielded from all things that is HR, but when you think about the employees that we have here, the team members that we have, those are the people that made the cut. You're exposed to those folks, but also everyone that doesn't meet our standards and make the cut. And I know we won't get into specific examples because I know there are many and they range the spectrum from, oh my goodness, to holy moly. But you've kind of been exposed to a different side of people. And I know that can be challenging at times. And so I guess really where I'm going with this is, how do you maintain such a positive, optimistic, solutions-based focus when you are faced with the challenges of the general working pool, if you will, that present itself to you, whether it's through an application, a resume, a phone screen, et cetera?
that is probably the biggest adjustment in transitioning into this role. in terms of how I adapt, I take every phone screen fresh as you're who I want until you prove me differently. I won't say I'm not jaded by some people. There are people who say, oh, they're super excited to take a job, and then all of a sudden that they don't respond, and the ghosting that can happen. That was an adjustment for me. But on the flip side, whenever you do think about some of the people that you have brought in and the excitement that they have and the value they've added to GVS, Carmen is on our HR team. I'm thinking about Hannah, who's just came in here and like she has always belonged. And there are just some of those people that are just, it makes the other parts worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like a ratio. You only need so many huge wins or kind of home runs to deal with the 10 minutes of not so good phone screen with an individual that doesn't maybe make the cut. Which kind of leads me. What are the qualities that you look for in folks that you think will thrive in this environment? Not only this environment, but within this organization, within this culture, and the standards that we have. Because we talk about it a lot. We do have different expectations. We do have higher expectations than some of our competitors or even other industries. And so what are the qualities specifically that you're looking for in kind of that application review, that resume review, and then kind of your back and forth interactions up to, including and after that phone screen, which really kind of tells you a lot, I would imagine.
So in terms of the actual applications that I go through, to be honest, sometimes those are hit or miss because I'll find that people haven't updated some things. But when I look at the actual applications, I'm looking at, what did you do? First of all, are you qualified for the position? If you require a certification or a licensure, is that in place? Yeah. Other than that, what are you paying attention to details of spelling? And I understand there could be an error, but are you putting effort into it? What's your commitment level? Are you staying at places 3 months, 6 months? That's probably the number one thing I'm looking at is commitment level. Whenever I'm actually talking to an applicant on the phone, then I kind of quote Jerry Maguire, "You had me at hello." And if they answer the phone, hello, versus hello, it's same word, totally different vibe. And that kind of sets the tone for the phone screen for me. And once I hear how they answer the phone, then you kind of have to prove me one way. And sometimes it's just, we don't usually answer the phone if we don't know who's calling, though they set the phone screen up. So they should know who's calling. So I give a little grace there, and sometimes they'll pull out. And I'm looking at that overall personality. Are you engaging? I'm missing, because it's a phone screen, body language, eye contact, enthusiasm. Are you being distracted? Do you have your phone right here? I don't see any of that. So it goes by conversation and how well are you engaged? So whenever I'm doing the phone screens, that's first of all what I'm looking for. Because if I'm working with someone, I want them to be someone I can talk to. And I want our residents to have someone that is providing services or to be able to talk with them. And like you said, mesh into that culture of hospitality that we pride ourselves on, and that's an expectation. It's something that I talk about in every phone screen as well, of those standards of hospitality. We can hire people with the right licensure, certification, experience level, and they can come in, they can check the boxes of the job, and they can leave, and they're not going to mesh with our community here if they don't have the heart and the compassion behind what they're doing. Absolutely. And so we set that tone at the very first phone screen, and that's an expectation of every employee that we have. And we tell them it's in every job description. It's on our job evaluations. And that might not be for everybody, and that's the purpose of this phone screen. I don't want to waste your time coming in for an interview if you don't feel like that's Absolutely. What you want to be a part of. So we set that tone there. And then depending on the job, I try to explain where that could be demonstrated. CNA, exact prime example of CNA can come in. All right, it's time to get dressed, get the resident dressed, or whatever that might be. Check the boxes of the job and leave, and they've done the job. Mm-hmm. They've done what they needed to do versus, good morning, Betty. How are you today? Are you ready to get up? Or do you want this blue outfit? Do you want your red? And done the same job. You've done it in completely different ways. And so our expectation is on the latter.
Yeah.
And that's how we want to be. So we set that tone strong in the very first phone screen.
Now, you of all people have heard this the most outside of me because I'm the one saying it. Mm-hmm. But every other week in orientation, a lot of organizations, they talk about customer service. And I make it a point to say we do not deal in customer service. And so I'm going to put you on the spot here, but I'm confident you're going to know the answer.
Okay.
What is the definition, Amy, of customer service?
That would be providing a service to a customer.
That's so enlightening. Providing a service to a customer. And at the end of the day, we have to qualify what customer service is. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it amazing? Is it horrible? When people talk about customer service, they qualify it. And so really, customer service is just the exchange of a service to a customer. And a lot of times, even brand new employees, they describe it as an obligation, right? It's something I have to do. It's part of the job. Whereas hospitality is, now this one's maybe a little harder. Let's see how close you get the definition of this one.
Okay.
You have it?
Making someone feel good.
Well, the definition first. The quality or disposition of treating and receiving guests and strangers in a warm, friendly, generous way.
Okay.
So there you've got the qualification is in the definition. By definition, it's good. Customer service, you have to tell me if it's good or bad.
Right.
Hospitality, we all know it's good. We all know we're talking about something good there. And I think some of our team members, newer team members, like that's some adjustment because they've never experienced hospitality training. They've never experienced a focus on hospitality. And to your point, customer service, providing service to a customer, but your example, it's making you feel good when we provide the service. And that's kind of, and you can take any role and any function of that role and apply that concept successfully 100 times out of 100. Right. And now, it takes special people to be able to do that effectively. And that's kind of the tall task that you have at hand is figuring out who's capable of making people feel good when delivering some of those services that are delivered in someone's most vulnerable times. I mean, helping someone go to the bathroom, helping someone get dressed. I mean, that could be a very vulnerable moment for an individual. But to be able to find team members who are so compassionate in everything that they do, that they make people feel good in those interactions when they are potentially fully dependent on a CNA or a nurse to provide that level of care. I mean, I think, the ability to find individuals like that is a gift in and of itself. And, a lot of times I'll meet with new residents after they moved in and they've kind of settled through their transition. And I say, what's your favorite part about GVS? And a lot of times they'll lean back in their chair, throw their hands up. Hands down, it's the people. It's the people. Mm-hmm. And when they say people, I say, tell me more. Like, is this your neighbors, your other residents? It's everybody. It's absolutely everybody. They say it's the staff in the dining room. It's maintenance. It's housekeeping. It's the residents. It's the neighbors. It's absolutely everyone. Everyone's so nice. Everyone's this. And I don't know if your ears burn a couple times a month when I'm meeting with new residents, but I say, I have to tell you about Amy Watson. I said, we have a person whose sole job is to figure out who is a good human being. And you've heard me say that, right? Is your job is to figure out if they're a good human being or not. And I said we have a person who is responsible for figuring out who is qualified, not in terms of the skills, and talents that they bring, but in terms of, are they a good human being? Because if they're a good human being, we can figure out the rest as we go. And they're like, well, you need to keep her and give her a raise. I mean, I've heard that multiple times. So you have to kind of pass that on to many residents that you encounter in your day to day. But I think it's a very unique way of looking at the quote unquote interview process, or the first stages of the interview process. Is we don't really care. We do care. I don't want to say we don't flippantly like that, but we want to know if you're a good human being or not. Because you can be the most skilled, most talented, most educated individual in the world, but if you're not a good human being, you're not the right fit for this team. Yep. And so I kind of look at your role as you're the litmus test. When we can figure the rest out after the fact, but yes or no, are they in or not? And so I think that's just a unique way that I take a lot of pride in the way that we approach kind of the recruiting process. And so I just, there's a lot of layers to that.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in addition to how we treat our residents whenever I'm talking with the applicants, is how we treat each other. Because we want it not only to be a place where residents, I tell them residents want to live, but also where family members trust us to care for their loved ones, but also where we want to come to work. A lot of times we spend more waking hours with each other than we do with our own families. And so you want to get up and come into work and enjoy who you're working with. Absolutely. And so that hospitality is all encompassing.
I often describe it to residents as it's perpetual. Good people attract good people. And if a bad one slips through the cracks, they find out real quick that that's not the right fit for them, whether they figure it out on their own or sometimes the masses of the good people figure it out for them. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it just perpetuates. So many layers there, but there's also many layers to different roles and different responsibilities at a community of this magnitude. And so a lot of people don't realize how many career paths actually exist in senior living. So what opportunities in education and growth would you share that are available here at GVS? And maybe some examples of team members who started one role and grew to 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations of that role and beyond.
How much time you got?
Give me an example or two, I'd say, because I know there's plenty.
Right. So
you being one of them, but I think we've talked about that one a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. So many different departments that we have here. You have people that you're hiring in at 16 years old at their very first job ever, to people that have, years of experience and bring that with them when they come to us. In terms of development overall, I mean, as I mentioned before, we have our tuition reimbursement that we provide, and GVS has graciously increased that amount in the last 5-6 years, doubled the amount that they provide for qualified continuing education expenses. So that's fantastic. In addition, it's, I go back to whenever I talk to people about it, being vocal about what your interests are and what you want to learn, because then we can make things happen. I don't think if I never would have mentioned my thoughts, no one would have ever suspected that I wanted to change anything. So you have to be comfortable having those conversations with your supervisor, whether it's a nurse wanting to learn how to do wound treatments and I need a little bit more, I want training on that. Whether it is, we have utility people who wanted to learn how to cook, and they have to voice that some interest there, and then staff are willing to pour in and train that. In terms of growth stories, I mean, let's see here. I'll say my best for last, but my guess of the two others, we'll do Deanna. Deanna worked she came in as a full-time server. And she worked here and she got her CNA license. She worked as a CNA. Then she went and she got her QMA license, worked as a QMA here for GVS. She skipped right over LPN and she moved to RN. So we have someone who started here in the kitchen. So the beautiful part about that is now if trays happen to be late, being down to the nurse's station, she has some understanding of, hey, you know what? Maybe something happened in the kitchen and we should give them some grace. But she understands so much more of the whole process. But server, CNA, QMA, RN, and she's worked on our rehab side of things too. And with nursing, continuously learning new things because you have new people who are coming in for rehab for different things too. And then just for the sake of time, we got to mention our friend Caitlin.
Absolutely.
Right? Of course, she's dear and near to my heart personally. She started as a 16-year-old part-time server while going to high school. We pretty quickly recognized just her leadership ability. She showed up. She was on time. She was responsible. She was calm under pressure. She was respected by her peers.
I'm going to pause you there.
Okay.
You said she showed up. A lot of times when people hear that, it's like the physical sense of showing up.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
But you kind of talked about this on the phone screen portion. Showing up is a state of mind in the way I see it. You show up to a phone interview, right? It's not hello. It's hello. You must be Amy. I've been excited for this call, right? I've been waiting for that. I've been looking forward to this. Whatever it is you show up. And so I think, you can show up in enthusiasm. You can show up in a lot of different ways. But I think Caitlin shows up in just absolute unwavering engagement in everything she does. I mean, you can tell whatever she's doing, she's all in. She is all in. And to your point, she's well respected. Nobody questions if she's there fully or why she's there. She's there for the right reasons. Yep. And I think, to your point, teams saw that early on and said, okay, we need to elevate you. And so I apologize for the interruption, but
I know she's dear to all of our hearts.
Take the story off from there.
Well, and so at that point, she became a lead server, and that's a transition in itself to go from a peer. You're a high school student, you're working with your peers, and also now you're kind of in an elevated position where you're kind of guiding the process, and that can be an adjustment. And she handled that beautifully. Let's say a year or so later, I lose track of time, but I know she's been with us for 6 years now. So this all happened in the course of that time. We actually created a position for her, created a position that we knew she would be very well suited for. She went through the whole interview process, and it was for an evening supervisor position, so an elevated from that lead position. And then we had an opportunity for a certified dietary manager in that kitchen. Well, Caitlin she also was a Greyhound, went to University of Indianapolis, attended school, however, full-time, which still blows my mind that someone can do that and hold the job. And I think 30-something direct reports, 7 days a week that she's managing, by the way, 2 kitchens, because she was also of our assisted living, while finishing college and doing so a semester early. So she graduated in December instead of that May. But as we were kind of going through that, and she was studying business, what are you thinking that's going to be? And of course, I want her here. And go talk with Pam about me. And I think Pam's first conversation would be, you don't want to be an administrator.
Yeah.
That's a tough job. We're like, okay, let's keep having these conversations because, as we know, Caitlin's kind of Pam Jr.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
But anyway, those conversations happened. And of course, her in the certified dietary manager role continuously proved herself to Pam as the administrator over that building. And when she graduated, then she started that administrator and training program that lasted 6-9 months. And after that, now she is our assistant administrator. So working with Pam as her assistant, taking on all kinds of new projects, learning from the best in the business.
Absolutely.
And she is really, I feel like as I was saying, with my safety transitioning roles, Caitlin's experiencing that same thing of transitioning into a whole new career path, but has that support. But, she's consistently proven herself.
She again, it's like you set these expectations, whether they're objective and on the table or in your head, and someone just keeps exceeding those expectations. It's like we've not found their ceiling yet, and we keep going. And I just learned this, I think, last week, but she's not done, is she?
Nope. She's gone back to school.
Going back to school,
Working on her
she's
master's
just-
now. Yeah.
she can't help herself.
I know.
So it's a great story, and I think you and Caitlin kind of share the kind of the hallmark stories of growth and development at Greenwood Village South. But I want to go back to Deanna, because correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Deanna the one that this was several months ago? This was an employee appreciation event, and we were out at the coffee truck, and she came out to get herself a drink, and you connected with her like you were best friends for years, and you just talked, yesterday.
Yeah.
But you're like, what are you up to? And she's like, oh, I'm finishing up my RN, and you're like, oh my goodness, like you don't stop. And so I just thought it was cool how like that connection, that bond that you build with folks is so strong that you don't have to talk to them every day. And I can tell like that's a meaningful relationship. Like I was able to witness that and see like, wow, Deanna really respects Amy, and Amy like sincerely cares for Deanna. It was really cool for me to witness that. And so just kudos in that sense. And so, here's another question I think everyone's dying to know is, I've heard that you've had just an extensive amount of like just excruciating dental work done in your adult life. So could you tell us about how many cavities you have and like what those processes and kind of experiences have been for you?
Oh, Jordan. I'm a proud member of the No Cavity Club.
AJ, if you could cut that out and send that directly to Diane Crowder, she'll be pleased as punch. Had to deliver.
I knew it was going to be something.
Yeah. All right. So we'll pick back up here real quick. We got a couple more here. So help me with this piece. So we talk about kind of the onboarding process, and we've talked about kind of growth and development, but consistently when we're looking at retention, why do people stay here? What do they tell you are the reasons that they love this organization, love this community, love the people, and why they stay here? What do you hear on a consistent basis?
The number one answer I always hear is residents. Across the board is our residents. And the other thing that I honestly hear too is just that difference of being a non-for-profit and that GVS is because of that, reinvesting into our community, into our staff as well, because a lot of them have come from places where that was not the case.
Yeah.
And if you have been in a different environment and come here, it's a completely different world.
It is very different. And likewise, if you grow up in this world and then go to that kind of I don't say it negatively. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's a different business model, but go from this not-for-profit in a true not-for-profit way of delivering on that mission to a for-profit where there are shareholders that have an expectation. Boy, it feels different. I mean, it feels different. The interactions are different. The look, the vibe, everything. And it can be a culture shock one way or the other, depending on which direction that transition occurs. But that's another one of those things that I think we kind of pride ourselves on that not-for-profit status because we live that in terms of giving back to our residents, the community, the greater Johnson County community, but then our team members as well. So how do you see the next generation of professionals shaping the future of senior living?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess my initial thought on that would be in terms of a next generation, I think you're going to have some really good challenging of processes. Why are we doing this and can we do something differently? Versus I think there are some generations, and I think I'm kind of in that, of, okay, this is what I'm being told what to do and this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And you've been instrumental in terms of encouraging challenging of processes, but that was not my norm. And I think that is more of a norm for younger generations of in such a good way. I think also their more ease with technology and what they're going to bring to the industry and to improve processes and streamline things, I think are probably the two biggest things that come to my mind.
Yeah. And for anyone, watching or listening to this, just kind of some words of encouragement or maybe some guidance in terms of that is, I would say, and I think you would agree with this, is there's a really good way to challenge the process and the status quo. And there's a really bad way. And I don't typically find a whole lot of gray area in that. And that good way is curiosity, humility. But help me understand why. Help me understand. So seeking to understand first, then to be understood. Whereas, there's some where, well, that's ridiculous. We shouldn't do it that way.
Right,
it's like,
right.
whoa. You're not going to get a great response that way. So I would just encourage folks to absolutely challenge thoughts, challenge processes, but do it through a lens of curiosity and humility. And maybe I speak for myself, but I'd be shocked if a lot of leaders don't welcome that with open arms, because at the end of the day, you're only going to get to a better outcome. It might take you a little longer and there might be a little effort involved, but you're going to get to a better outcome when you're always seeking to challenge and improve. So,
and I think it also ties back to our hospitality promise. We
absolutely,
embrace and value our differences.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
I that should be something we value.
Well, and I think out of the 10 hospitality, but there's a lot that we could apply to that. We treat others with courteous respect, and we're not just dogging someone's idea or concept. We're okay. Help me understand why you think that would be better. So a lot of different promises we could apply to that, but we'll maybe post those hospitality promises on the podcast so people can kind of see those and understand what our principles are. But I want to leave you with our signature question. Has nothing to do, if you don't want it to do, with any of the conversation.
Okay.
But if you had to be remembered for one thing, right? And this could be professionally, but personally, what would it be and why? One thing.
Okay. So one thing I would hope versus something I've done, I would hope it would be what my leadership mission statement is, which is simply 3 words, which is integrity, dependability, and compassion. And that's my leadership mission. That's what I try to infuse into everything I do, and how I approach things. So I hope at the end of the day, might not be one thing, but if I lump it into one thing as my leadership mission, I hope people remember me for being someone who shows up, is dependable, compassionate, and strives to do the right thing.
Amy, I don't feel I need to kind of pump you up and validate that, but I'll leave you with this. I will give you $100 for every person in the next 24 hours that you can bring to me who says, without lying, that you do not embody those 3 characteristics. $100 every person in the next 24 hours. That is your challenge. Okay?
Any listeners out there?
Any listeners out there, come forward. You might be late for the 24 hours by the time we get this posted, but I do think that's a testament to kind of who you are, because I would find it hard to believe that you're going to find anyone that you've crossed paths with on any meaningful level that wouldn't say that you're a 10 out of 10 in all those areas. So keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for everything you do within your job description and far outside of it as well. And thank you so much for coming on our show. And we'll look forward to maybe connecting again on a future podcast.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.